So Jay Leno decided to try and use his star power and his influence to get historical cars exempted from smog in the state of California. And it went about as well as you imagine. Oh no. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit that like button or you have to go to California's DMV every day for the rest of your life. This doesn't make you an employee, you have to be a customer in the very long line. Also, if you're on the East Coast especially, I'm having a car event called Cosmic Drift. It's essentially Rainbow Road in real life. It's a ton of fun, laser show, music, you name it, we got it. Love to have you as a spectator or a driver. Tickets down below. Thank you guys so much. It's a ton of fun. It's at Caffeine Octane Linear Raceway across the street from Road Atlanta on October 17th and 18th. And thank you guys so much for listening. Anyways, jokes aside, Jay Leno proposed a bill that exempts cars 35 years and older from doing the strenuous California emissions. And if you want to get really nerdy about it, it was California Bill 712. Now for some context, if you don't live in the United States, emissions and smog is typically done by a state-by-state basis. The state typically decides how to do emissions, how to do smog, or just not to have it at all. And a lot of factors can be involved here, like population, how much pollution there is, etc., etc. But let's take a state like Georgia, my home state. It's done by county. So certain counties have emissions while some others don't. But the ones that do have emissions will have a 25-year rule, very similar to the import car rule. So if you import a car from Japan or something like that, it needs to be 25 years old to be legal. Now, at the same time, we also have a 25-year-old exemption of smog and emissions. Well, Jay Leno tried to do something similar in California with a 35-year rule, and it went about as well as you expect. But what this comes down to is, for car enthusiasts like you and me, it is a big factor if we want to take on projects that are that old, because then you have to deal with registration and everything like that. Because it's convenient and it makes sense if you can just register it in your home state. Well, with a completely crazy hot take, Jay Leno decided, you know what, maybe we should make this a little bit easier for the older cars, the rolling pieces of history, you could say. So it went to the committee, and it landed on the desk of Buffy Wicks. Slaying them vampires. Sorry, I had to. And she didn't even let it get to the state assembly for a vote. So reason number 5001 of why car enthusiasts have it miserable in California. The land of pulling people over with factory exhaust systems and still saying it's aftermarket because you're that dumb. And of course, the usual reason for the bill getting stopped was the usual one. There wasn't one. There wasn't a reason at all.
You what?
They basically saw it, and they didn't worry about it again. They threw it away. Didn't consider it, didn't talk about it, didn't do anything. It was just squashed immediately. And when she was asked about why this bill was squashed so quickly, her answer was a very educational response. I don't know. I don't remember. Look, to be fair, they get hundreds of bills all the time, but the most influential person maybe to put up a bill in California for a very long time, you don't remember that at all? Even when Jay Leno testified about the bill, which we'll get into in a little bit? Crazy. And what's highly ironic about this entire situation is that many people in the car community are saying this. Basically, that it's almost hilarious that they're worried about spending the money on doing this, even though they're kind of missing out on registration fees anyway. Now, why is that? Look, it's no secret that people sometimes on their own merit, if they have a car that's very hard to register in one state, they'll register it somewhere else. States famously like Montana. Absolutely beautiful state, by the way, and totally see why so many people store their cars in Montana. Anyway, I have nothing to do with that. I don't have any cars registered in Montana, I'm just saying. Point is if you're trying to prevent the pollution from the smog of these older vehicles, it doesn't matter anyway because they're already in the state driving around. They're just registered somewhere else, so why not try to make it easier for these people to pay the in-state registration fees and just not worry about it? Because then you could get the registration fee, you could have them register in the state and all that good stuff, and do that. And on the surface, a bunch of legislators who know nothing about the cars probably saw the bill and said, oh, smog law? That's bad. Smog is bad. Don't even think about it. People shouldn't have fun in their cars, blah, blah, blah. And they moved on rather than really thinking about the possible future benefits in the long run. So yes, the initial cost of enforcing this bill or implementing this bill would be expensive. The estimate was roughly around $1.2 million because you would have to do the historical plates or registration or a different registration process, and you get to go back to your favorite place, the DMV, but at least you get to do it in your home state. My question is, even if it does cost $1.2 million, when does California ever really shy away from spending a bunch of money for a governmental program that's supposed to smoothing things out or improve things, or at least attempt to? And this isn't me making a political statement. California is just a big spender in general. That's a reality. That's undeniable. So it definitely doesn't even feel like it was contemplated, to say the least. And earlier in the year, Jay Leno even testified for this bill, really talking about just how much of a pain it was to register something historical or classic and get the proper smog test done in California. It's an absolute hassle with an older car. And with quoting Jay Leno during his testimony, he said this: with a modern car, it's plug in, get your money, boom, get out. It's very quick to get a smog check with a modern car. It's not impossible in an older car, but it's tricky and often causes charges 4, 5, 6 times more than a regular car. Leno said classic car owners struggle to even find a shop with the equipment needed to test them because it is kind of a bygone era and lost art in a lot of ways. And he is right about an OBD style emission where they just plug that sucker in, they say you're a good person and you pass your emissions, now give us your money. and then you move on with your day. Even in like the most simple of dailies, when I'm getting an emissions test done, I'm just sitting there going, you better pass. I swear, I don't want to go back to the DMV today. Please don't make me. With classic cars, there's so much more you have to account for, especially with things such as carburation and air to fuel ratios and all that kind of stuff. This bill, in a perfect world, were to pass, I feel like it would streamline this process, then encourage more people to keep the registration of these historical vehicles in their home state, and then not have the local government scratching their head why they're not doing it. But it could just be discouraging owning these kind of vehicles in general, period, so I don't know. Even if you do a little bit of digging into this bill, Leno's law basically had some compromises as well, which I thought were pretty fair, but I am a little biased because I'm a car enthusiast, but they read as such. So if your car is pre-1981, has collector insurance, and historical plates, you're fully exempt from smog checks, including with a sale or a transfer. So yes, you jump through a bunch of hoops, you do all the registration, because everybody loves all this crap you have to go through owning a car. Then you do that, you say you have an historical car, yes, it's historical, let's exempt it. I don't see the problem in that. But no, still not good enough. And Senator Shannon Grove was really into this bill with Jay Leno, and she was really disappointed. And I quote, I'm deeply disappointed that once again, the California state legislature did not prioritize California's classic car culture and the enthusiasts who were relying on this measure to pass. Sadly, today, California said no to helping preserve these rolling pieces of history and let down classic car clubs across the state, from lowriders to hot rods and every American classic in between. Now, I think that is a really interesting point, because not only do classic cars fall under the boomer driving the 69 Camaro, it could be something as niche as an old Model T or anything like a lowrider. You have every sub car culture of Southern California under threat, and they couldn't get this law passed, which is really sad. And if you think about it, California was the car culture hub of the United States for a very, very long time. There's still a massive car culture presence there, but it is so much harder to just be an enthusiast and enjoy having something cool there. Every time I go out there, it is just bananas. While doing car reviews, I've gotten tickets for lowered suspension and also an exhaust and stuff like that. As somebody who's been to almost every state in the United States, I'm in the high 40s, I can't remember exactly. It's the only state I have these problems in. It's the only one. So it is really sad that people have to deal with this if they just want to enjoy cars. But there is still some hope for car enthusiasts, obviously in the United States at the federal level. Because even if you didn't hear about it, the Supreme Court not too long ago reduced federal regulatory overreach, especially for the aftermarket. So it's a huge win for the aftermarket and other car companies around the country. So on the federal level, it's pretty good. I know it's not connected to the law in any way, but modifying your car in the United States is very lax compared to other countries around the world. So it is pretty cool that we can continue that legacy overall as a modified car hub in the entire globe, essentially. I know, today's story, very simple, very straightforward, but now I leave it up to you. Down in the comments below, what do you think about the law? Do you think it will ever have another chance getting passed? Do you live in a state where emissions is really strict? Let me know in the comments section below. Also, especially if you're from California, how hard is it being a car enthusiast there? I go there all the time as a visitor, but I don't live there. So put it down in the comment section below. And on that note, I appreciate every single one of you guys watching today, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.